Good Sunday evening. Tonight's meditation is going to be on the topic of guilt. So, this emotion we experience is a very social one that has roots in helping us survive. And I'll post a little bit more about that in tomorrow's Mindful Monday post on Facebook and Instagram. But suffice it to say that its origins come from a place of helping us to repair. And then over time, or I guess as our frontal lobes have formed a bit more, guilt has become a pretty common emotion that we will feel not only in our relationships with others, but in our relationship with ourselves. And so we will do a little work with mindfully noticing and shifting our relationship with the thoughts that trigger guilt as well as the guilt itself. All right, so I'll invite you to close your eyes or to look at something that's not stimulating. And taking a mindful breath, noticing the air going in through the nose and exhaling out through the nose or the mouth. Noticing where your body is coming in contact with the chair or the floor or the couch, wherever it is that you are sitting, standing, lying down, wherever you are, bringing attention to those points of contact. Allowing yourself to sink into this space and to the best of the mind and its attention's ability, shifting back when the mind wanders from this moment and this practice. I want to invite you to think about things or circumstances about which you felt a sense of guilt for or about in the past couple of days. Maybe you've said something that you didn't ultimately want to say or mean to say out of an intense emotion. Maybe you've broken some moral code or ethical code of yours or society's. Really identifying some of the topics or common areas in which guilt emerges. Beginning to notice that guilt arises when there is a disparity or a space between what we expect of ourselves and our behavior and what has happened. It's usually the basis. And then a judgment to say that that space or the lack of meeting the expectation is wrong in some ways. Noticing what has happened in the body as we've conjured thoughts that trigger guilt or that are about topics where guilt often emerges, and seeing if you can briefly scan from the top of the head down to your toes, slowly and thoroughly letting the muscles sink back into this space to be held. When we acknowledge that disparity between what we might be expecting or what we think others expect and where we are or what our behavior was or is, that creates tension, both mental, cognitive, and physical, because they're connected. And so that can often be where we act or react. We can beat ourselves up, thinking that this will help bridge that gap between where we expect ourselves to be and where we are. And it may be that it's more than an expectation, it's where we want to be. And yet, judgment, although it thinks it's helpful, has long-term consequences. At no point in time did we think it would be fun to judge ourselves, beat ourselves up, or feel guilty later. So giving yourself a hard time really just compounds the distress, leading to future patterns that are likely to build onto the guilt. So noticing, taking that step back to observe where you feel guilt in the body, not reacting, just noticing. Seeing what you notice with regard to thoughts as you allow the space for exploration, for observation. And now inviting you to notice what your expectations are of yourself or of others, or what you think theirs are of you. And I invite you to be curious about whether or not there's anything that can be changed in this moment that you'd like to help you move to where you'd like to be or how you'd like to behave. When we focus on what we have or have not done, or how we have been or have not been, we often are in a space of judgment which again narrows our attention and fosters that guilt. And while we can learn if we take that step back, we also need to take that learning and move forward from here. So seeing if there's anything with regard to action or to way of being that you might be able to embody or do right now. And if there is not, seeing about breathing out the guilt, the past as the past, and knowing and saying to yourself wholeheartedly that you're doing the best that you can in each moment of each day. It may not always look as you'd like it to, you expect it to, or others may expect it to. And those expectations are often what are flawed, or not acknowledging the human realities. That we're not automatons or bots. And so while it might feel comfortable, containing, to expect that which is not realistic of ourselves, in the long run, it's not likely helpful. So letting the tension of guilt either allow you to take action or shift in this moment, or be a moment to let go of what was, take the lessons from, and open to self-compassion. I'll take a moment without my voice and then end with the bells. Bells, long bells. Thanks for joining me a little bit longer than normal. Guilt's a helpful emotion at certain times. I think we have overgeneralized it and try to make it helpful in other circumstances that really it's not ultimately that effective. All right, have a wonderful rest of the weekend and a great start to the week. Bye.